Hey now! Today is a day for cleaning. So what I'm going to show you here is how I like to clean a Cornelius keg using PBW. So this keg is empty. Beer just was just drained out of it. So I'm going to, first of all right, so there's no pressure in there. I'm going to just pop this off. It doesn't take very many tools here to do this. What I like to use is just like a, I don't know, like 3/4 of a gallon bucket. I've got obviously the PBW and then a 7/8 socket, which works really well for removing the posts. So once I've got that lid off, I'm just going to get a little water in here just so I can swirl this thing around and remove any extra gunk or sediment or beer or anything that might have been in there. I'll usually do that twice. Kind of swirl around the side here. Just because the less organic material that's in there, probably the easier a time the PBW will have. Less work for it to do. Once that is like that, it is time to start dispensing PBW. I like to use the same amount that I use for cleaning my carboys, which is, this is like an old OxyClean container here, so I use it mostly full. That goes into there. If you want to clean your carboys, it's a very similar process. I've got a video for that you could check out. So I've just added a little bit, maybe a teaspoon or so, into that bucket, because this is where I'm going to keep the lid and the gas post. So I'm going to start to fill that. I'm just going to loosen these posts, and I will take my gas post, my gas dip tube, fire it in there. I don't need that much more full than just to cover everything. And now, since I've already got the PBW in here, I will start that filling. And while that's happening, I will remove the liquid post. Just make sure there's a little bit of liquid in there and that things are kind of mixed up. I'll also remove the dip tube. I'll plunk those in there. And I like to fill it about 2/3 full or 3/4 full, and then let it sit for a bit. So we'll take a look what that looks like once it's filled. Alright, so I got that as full as I want. I'm going to leave this for, I don't know, probably at least 3 or 4 hours. If it was under constant agitation, it would take less time to make sure it's clean. But give it 3 or 4 hours, and then I'm actually going to invert it into a bucket, and then the whole top end and everything will be able to soak. So when we come back, you'll be able to see that in action. I'm actually going to have 2 of these kegs that I'm cleaning, so we'll do both of them then. So we are later that day. Now what I'm going to do here is just turn these upside down, because as you can see, if you take a look in here, they are, you can almost see, there we go. See, about 2/3, 3/4-ish full. Now I want to invert them, turn them upside down, but once I get them like that, I'm probably also going to lift it up a little bit just so some water actually gets out, because I want to cover up to around here, so all these fittings on the outside and everything also get the PBW. I'm just going to turn it like so, set it back, and then it's going to be a little bit higher, so I'll just do that. Seeing if you take a peek in here, you can see that the water's in there. All right, so I'll just quickly do the other one. Almost tight quarters here in this very large sink I've got. I'm going to go to do 2 of these, but there we are. So I'll let them sit overnight, and then tomorrow morning I shall finish up the process. Well, it is the next day. These things have been sitting like this overnight. Now it is time to drain them. So the nice thing about having the sink up, you know, kind of elevated here is I can just reach here and pick up, drain all that water out. There we go. Just going to set this keg down for a sec, and then I need to rinse everything out. I want to make sure to get any of that PBW residue out. So I'll run it through the dip tube. I'll pull the O-ring down a little bit, make sure to get underneath that, and then rinse off really nicely here. I definitely don't need to get chemicals in the beer. The next beer to go in there. Oh, of course, I also have that tip, or that post. So again, just a reminder, in that keg I had the liquid post and the liquid dip tube, obviously. I like to keep everything separate like that. I'll just rinse out any PBW water that's in there. And now it's a careful rinsing of the keg itself. Make sure to get those fittings. And then I rinse 3 times just to make sure to get everything out. One. I like to think this is nice and thorough. Just swirl that water around in there. Make sure to get the inside of the top part of the keg. This is number 3. And there we are. So now I'll just leave that sitting upside down for a couple of minutes. I'm going to take this stuff here and just give it a rinse. So we'll get the lid. The gasket for that. Then we have our gas post. And the gas tube. Make sure it's all nice and rinsed off. So now the vast majority of water should be removed, drained out of this keg. Just see here, just a little bit coming off. Now I will just quickly rebuild. So I will pop in the in here first. Liquid dip tube. Almost lost my post there. Put the post mostly on. Lid back on, and then of course just seal everything back up here. There we go. Perfect. All right, so there you have it. So this keg is perfectly cleaned out. If I was going to be using it right away, I would just do a Star Sand transfer through it, and it would be sanitized as well as beautifully cleaned. So yes, that is how I like to clean my kegs, using PBW, and then a nice solid rinse afterwards. And yeah, this just is a great way to keep everything clean and ready so that you don't wreck your homebrew. So keep it at 11.